They fired her right there in the conference room, mocking her as nothing more than a janitor pretending to be an accountant. Her project report was drenched in coffee, tossed aside like garbage. After the company party, they made her clean up the mess. Her lunch and her carefully laid out plans, thrown away with the same disgust they reserved for her worn-out shoes. No one at Kinara Group had the faintest idea that the woman they dismissed as invisible, the one in the scuffed sneakers, was actually their new boss. And she was about to make them eat every insult they'd ever spat in her direction. The Manhattan headquarters of Kinara Group looked like a gleaming fortress, walls of glass, steel edges, and a marble lobby that felt more like a shrine to the elite than an office building. It was a place where only the polished survived. Employees walked like royalty in their tailored suits and designer heels, every accessory screaming status, every glance a judgment. Maya Hart, a temporary hire from an outsourced accounting firm, stepped into this den of wolves on her first day. Her blouse was faded white, tucked into slacks that had seen better days. Her hair was pulled back into a simple low bun. Her canvas sneakers, frayed at the heels, were a clear violation of the unspoken dress code. Her sun-warmed skin and unadorned face immediately marked her as someone who didn't belong. The receptionists exchanged knowing smirks as she signed in, their perfectly manicured nails tapping impatiently on the desk, as if her very presence polluted the air. But Maya didn't flinch. Her eyes, sharp and focused, didn't look around in awe. She was observing, calculating, like a strategist surveying a battlefield. She clutched a battered leather briefcase, worn and scuffed, walking with a quiet determination that none of them noticed. The whispers started before she even reached the elevator. Rag Lady was already snaking its way through the halls. During a high-stakes presentation with clients, Maya was called in, not for her financial insights, but to bring coffee. Her skills were brushed aside as she was reduced to a glorified assistant in front of Wall Street executives. One senior manager, his Rolex catching the light, smirked as he handed her an empty tray. "Chop chop, Rag Lady. Try not to spill it. Numbers aren't your thing, but maybe you can handle coffee without screwing it up," he said, his voice carrying clearly across the room. The clients laughed. One leaned over and whispered, loud enough to hear, "Is she the intern or the cleaning staff?" As Maya balanced the tray, her faded blouse stood out against the team's designer threads. The manager basked in the moment. "Honestly, Maya, you're lucky we let you into the room. Most people like you are here to clean it, not sit in it." Laughter cracked through the space like a whip, cutting at her pride. But Maya didn't blink. Her face was unreadable, her hands steady. She served them silence, but inside her, a storm was brewing, one they were too arrogant to see coming. Their smirks trailed her out of the room, a parade of mockery meant to label her as worthless and remind everyone of their place. To them, she was a mistake, an error in their pristine system, and they intended to delete her. Her onboarding felt more like public humiliation disguised as orientation. Lena Whitmore, head of HR and the daughter of the company's marketing director, stood in front of the conference room. Her silk blouse and diamond studs shone under the lights, a glaring contrast to Maya's thrifted outfit. "Well, Maya, you're only here because accounting was desperate enough to look at your sorry resume," Lena said, her voice intentionally loud, ensuring even the interns at the back caught every word. "This is a billion-dollar firm, not a second-hand bazaar. Maybe next time show up looking like a human being, not something dragged out of the clearance bin." Snickers rippled through the room. Junior staff nudged each other, some discreetly angling their phones to record Maya's reaction. She sat at the far edge of the table, hands folded, expression unreadable as Lena kept going. "Honestly, it's a miracle you're here at all. You should feel lucky to sit among people who actually deserve to be here." The insult landed like a thrown glove, and the room waited, hungry for a reaction. Maya gave them none. Her silence was a wall, her stillness a quiet dare. But to the polished elite of Kinara, her calm was simply more proof that she didn't measure up. In the break room, even her lunch became something to mock. She unwrapped a homemade cheese sandwich, its plainness a stark contrast to the overpriced salads and sushi her coworkers flaunted. A group of analysts, ties loosened and smirks wide, gathered nearby. "Who the hell eats a sad little cheese sandwich at Kinara?" one of them said loud enough for her to hear. "Did you mistake this place for a soup kitchen?" Another one pulled out his phone and started recording. Smile, rag lady. This one's going viral in the office chat, he jeered, as laughter filled the room. Maya took a slow bite, eyes focused on her sandwich, as if their cruelty were just background noise. The nickname Rag Lady caught on like wildfire, written on her locker, whispered in meetings, etched into the company culture like a brand. After the office party, they didn't invite her to celebrate. Instead, they handed her a mop and made her clean up while they toasted champagne. Their laughter echoed through the halls as she scrubbed away in silence. Notes began appearing on her locker, by a mirror. Google fashion tips. She peeled them off one by one, never saying a word. Her silence grew heavier, sharper, an unspoken resistance they couldn't understand. In the elevator one day, a group of junior execs cornered her. Their shoes polished, their grins smug, they surrounded Maya like a pack circling prey. One of them, a rising star in sales, leaned in so close his cologne was almost suffocating. You really thought you could make it here, didn't you? He sneered. Some nobody from nowhere thinking she can hang with the big dogs at Canara. His eyes flicked down at her outfit. Those slacks? They've seen more winters than my grandma's curtains. Why don't you just quit now and save us the trouble of firing you? One of them sneered, laughter erupting as another snapped a photo of Maya's unreadable face, the flash a calculated jab. This one's going to kill in the office group chat. Rag lady's big dreams, he added, just as the elevator doors slid open, exposing Maya to the stairs beyond the lobby. Her grip on the briefcase tightened, but her expression didn't budge. That stoic calm had become her armor, shielding her from their venom. Though the cruelty was relentless, her silence never cracked. Team meetings only offered a new stage for their mockery. During one of the accounting department's weekly reviews, Lena flipped through Maya's painstakingly prepared reports with an exaggerated sigh. Oh, Maya, she scoffed, holding up a page like it was trash. Did you dig up an old typewriter in your barn to type this up? She asked, just before letting the paper slip into a puddle of coffee she'd accidentally spilled. Oops. Guess your farmyard reports aren't worth saving anyway. Maybe stick to sweeping floors, you seem more suited for that. The room burst into laughter. A few even pointed at the stained pages as Maya quietly bent to pick them up, her motion steady, her face unreadable. Even a fire drill became an excuse for public ridicule. As the staff gathered in the courtyard, the office safety coordinator, a former model turned administrator, used the megaphone not for safety instructions, but for humiliation. She pointed directly at Maya and announced in a mocking tone, "Let Maya here be your cautionary tale. Don't come to a billion-dollar firm dressed like you just crawled out of a thrift store dumpster." Heads turned. Phones came out. Those sneakers? Safety hazard. That blouse? A fire risk, she added, grinning. Honestly, Maya, you're a walking violation of every rule we have. The snickers came fast. Some recorded the whole thing while Maya stood still, arms crossed, face unmoved. But the coordinator wasn't done. Next time, try dressing like you actually belong here. Or we'll just lock you out for safety reasons. What should have been a routine drill turned into a public shaming, every word meant to chip away at whatever dignity she had left. Later, Lena lounged in her chair during another team meeting, a smirk playing on her lips. Let's be real, she said to the room. Maya's just here to warm a seat. We didn't hire a brain, we needed a body. More laughter followed. But Maya didn't react. She simply folded her ruined reports with meticulous care, as if archiving the evidence of every insult. At a department happy hour, Maya was ordered to stay behind and sort out the bar receipts. Her presence wasn't welcomed, just required. As the others toasted and laughed, a marketing associate emboldened by too much wine climbed onto a chair, her voice loud and slurred but cutting. Let's raise a glass to Maya, the ghost of Canara, haunting us with her dollar store wardrobe and her sad little sandwiches, she declared, prompting an eruption of laughter. Who let her in? What did you think, Maya? That your accounting degree would charm us? Please, go back to your trailer park. The crowd hooted, some tossing napkins her way while she continued adding up receipts, a spill of beer soaking into her blouse. She didn't flinch. Her focus stayed on the numbers in front of her, as if the insults around her were a storm she'd long since learned to weather. The associates' words hit like nails, each one driven into the cross they'd built from Maya's humiliation. But still, she endured. The company-wide town hall was the final strike. Maya stood at the back of the crowded auditorium, no seat saved for her, no water offered, no name tag clipped to her blouse. The room buzzed with Canara's best and brightest, dressed to impress. Lena took the stage like a queen surveying her court, her gaze locking on Maya. Tomorrow, Lena said, voice sharp and booming through the mic. Don't bother showing up. Maya, that's directed at you. The crowd gasped, some chuckled. Not even the janitors want you. You're not fit to clean our floors, let alone work in our offices. Consider this your final notice, effective immediately. A ripple of applause followed. Heads turned. Some eyes widened in shock. Others gleamed with glee. Maya stood motionless, her frayed sneakers planted on the floor. Lena leaned into the moment. Go back to wherever you came from, rag lady, she said. Kanara is for winners, not for strays. The room thundered with applause. But Maya's silence roared louder. Her eyes blazed with quiet fire, her stillness no longer passive, it was a vow. Even in the executive gym, a space off limits to most, Maya wasn't safe. Sent there to deliver quarterly reports, she walked in only to be met with sneers from a circle of finance directors in workout gear. One, a heavy-set man known for crushing deals and egos alike, paused his treadmill, towel slung around his neck. Well, look who dropped by. Rag lady, delivering her precious little spreadsheets, he said with a grin. Maya, did you get lost on your way to the laundromat? This isn't a shelter, it's Kanara's gym. The others laughed as he continued. Stick to crunching numbers and leave the real work to people who know how to dress like they've made it. Welfare isn't part of our corporate culture. The laughter grew louder in the gym, dumbbells clanking as others joined in. One voice rang out, but you can't even afford a gym membership. Maya handed over the reports without flinching, her hands steady, her gaze unwavering as the director's booming laughter echoed off the mirrored walls. It wasn't just mockery, it was a calculated display of dominance, a clear message that Maya wasn't even worth the sweat they shed. Her very presence felt like an offense in their elite world. But the next day, everything changed. The boardroom buzzed with unease. The long mahogany table was ringed by Kanara's top brass, all in pressed suits, their faces smug but tense. Shareholders and media lined the walls, cameras primed to capture the major announcement hinted at in that morning's company-wide memo. Whispers flew. A new chairman was coming. Odds were on Lena's father or a major Wall Street player. Then the doors opened, and the room went dead silent. Maya Hart stepped in, dressed head to toe in a tailored white suit, the crisp fabric sharp as a blade. Her expression was unreadable, her once plain bun now regal. Gone were the frayed sneakers, replaced with heels that clicked like a judge's gavel on polished marble. In her hand, she carried a red-sealed dossier, Hart Holdings. Without hesitation, she walked to the head of the table and stood tall. Maya Hart, she said, her voice like thunder spoken softly. Co-founder of Hart Holdings. The firm that just completed a hostile acquisition of Kanara Group. The room froze. Executives stared at each other in stunned disbelief. Lena's mouth fell open, speechless, as Maya offered the slightest, coldest smile. She placed the dossier on the table, its weight, a sentence passed, and turned on the massive screen behind her. Security footage began to play. Clips rolled across the screen. Lena's sneering welcome, the staged coffee spill, the break room taunts. Analysts' laughter. The cruel locker notes. Each video a dagger, each insult now a matter of public record. Gasps rose from the press as they recorded it all. The infamous town hall, Maya's public firing, played next. Lena's words echoed across the boardroom again, but this time, as damning evidence. The applause that had followed was now an indictment. Then Maya's voice cut through the stunned silence. Due to gross violations of human rights in the workplace, she said, calm and commanding, I hereby terminate the entire former executive board, the entire HR department, and 75% of the New York office, effective immediately. Chaos erupted. Protests filled the air, but Maya's gaze alone silenced them. Her authority was unmistakable. This wasn't vengeance in secret. This was justice in public. As the final video ended, she opened the dossier and revealed contracts, each stamped with the Hart Holdings seal. While you were too busy mocking my lunches, Maya said coolly, Hart Holdings was quietly acquiring your shares through shell companies. You were blind, too arrogant to notice what was happening. And now, your empire belongs to me. Shareholders gasped. The realization struck like a blow. Their assets were hers. Reporters typed furiously. Maya slid a contract across the table toward the former CEO. Sign this, she said, her tone ice. Or face the lawsuits we've prepared for your embezzlement. His hand trembled as he signed, all eyes on Maya as she rewrote the fate of an entire company with a stroke of her pen. The world now knew who she really was, not just a financial force, but a reckoning. She turned her eyes to Lena, who clutched the edge of the table, pale and shaking. Lena Whitmore, Maya said, voice sharp and final. You are permanently banned from ever entering any company under the Hart Holdings umbrella. Her words fell like a guillotine. Your name is poison. Your career, ash. Your legacy, non-existent. Lena screamed, but it was drowned by the cold click of Maya's pen as she signed the termination papers with a flourish. Then Maya turned to the safety coordinator, who now sat slumped in the corner like a forgotten prop from a failed play. Her megaphone days long gone. You once called me a safety hazard, Maya said, her voice low, every syllable razor-edged. But the real threat was your cruelty. Your blind loyalty to a broken system. She stepped closer. Your pension is revoked. Your references erased. Your name wiped from every system I control. The woman sobbed, her designer scarf doing nothing to shield her from the humiliation. Maya handed her a single-sheet termination, signed in bold red ink, then turned away, her heels echoing like a final verdict across the stunned boardroom. The silence was reverent, the press enraptured by the fall of a villain and the rise of justice. Cameras flashed, headlines formed in real time, and the remaining staff stood breathless. Maya faced them, her white suit catching the light as she addressed the room with calm precision. To those of you who remain, she said, her voice commanding, listen carefully. Kinara will no longer reward cruelty. It will no longer elevate privilege. She clicked to a new screen, an updated organizational chart. At the top, her name. A new HR team has already been installed, she announced, led by a woman who once cleaned your offices. From now on, no one will be shamed for what they wear, how they look, or where they come from. The stunned employees slowly nodded, fear still thick in the air as Maya made it crystal clear. The rules had changed. She pointed to the glowing logo of the new foundation. Every cent of your canceled bonuses now funds this transformation, not your handbags. The press applauded. Cameras flashed. And as the former executives were escorted out in silence, they heard their legacies crumble behind them, shattered by the very woman they once tried to break. Maya's influence was unmistakable. Her role as a reformer was now etched into the consciousness of both the company and the world. She stopped just at the edge of the boardroom, her crisp white suit starkly contrasting the storm she had left behind. Turning to face the buzzing press, she spoke, her voice slicing cleanly through their whispers like silk beneath a blade. The global contracts of Kinara Group are officially under review, she announced, holding up a tablet that displayed a list of multi-million-dollar agreements. Any partner who thrived under this company's poisonous culture will be cut off. Their contracts are void, signed off by me. The media gasped, camera flashes erupting as the screen scrolled through names of elite firms, longtime allies of Kinara, now exposed and vulnerable to her authority. The shareholders shifted in their seats, visibly rattled, knowing their fortunes were entangled with these very deals. But Maya didn't flinch. Her gaze remained steady, her presence commanding enough to shift financial tides in real time. This isn't a negotiation, she added, voice cold and final. This is justice. Her words rang like a death sentence for the old regime's network. Watching from private feeds, former executives witnessed their alliances collapse, their influence wiped clean by her decree. Maya's reach extended beyond corporate control. It had become a global demonstration of power, and the crowd responded with thunderous support for her ruthless clarity. Silence fell as her name was installed above the CEO's suite. With a nod, she triggered the boardroom's intercom, her voice echoing through every Kinara office around the globe. This is Maya Harlow, your new chairperson, she declared firmly. The era of elitism ends now. Anyone who ridiculed coworkers to maintain this toxic hierarchy is no longer employed. Her team had already flagged the offenders' files, sealing their fates. In New York's auditorium, hushed whispers spread as screens revealed terminated staff, among them, the marketing associate from the infamous happy hour. The press, live-streaming every moment, captured the global shock as #KinaraPurge exploded online. Maya had become the unmistakable face of this sweeping overhaul. Her power crashed over the old system like a tidal wave, leaving its architects in tatters. As the meeting wrapped up, she brought up a holographic projection, introducing a new corporate charter that replaced Kinara's elitist policies with a framework rooted in meritocracy. This charter is in effect immediately, she declared, her voice echoing with finality. All forms of workplace discrimination are banned. Executive salaries are now directly tied to employee satisfaction. The press leaned in, furiously scribbling as she pointed out a key clause, mandatory annual audits overseen by her personally selected review panel. No one, including me, is exempt from accountability, she said, sweeping the room with a gaze that dared anyone to challenge her. The remaining employees, stunned by her candor, nodded slowly in agreement. Meanwhile, the ousted executives, watching from the shadows of their downfall, saw their once opaque control systems disassembled piece by piece. What Maya delivered wasn't just reform, it was revolution, broadcast for the entire world to see. Her signature on the charter marked the burial of old Kanara. The crowd basked in her dominance. She had drawn the blueprint for a new era in business. A formal announcement rolled out across all news outlets. Maya Harlow, appointed chairman and CEO. As she stepped out of the boardroom, a nervous junior accountant, one of the few spared, approached her with shaking hands, offering a crumpled note. It was a thank you letter for the scholarship from her foundation that had paid for his education. Maya read it, her face softening momentarily, then handed it back. "Keep it," she said gently. "You're the future of Kanara, not them." The press seized on the moment, splashing it across front pages. Maya was now a symbol for the underestimated, her name synonymous with hope. Watching from their lonely, disgraced corners of the world, the former executives saw their arrogance mocked by those they once ignored. Maya's strength wasn't just in removing the corrupt, but in lifting up the unseen. Her victory became a public reckoning, not just a private win. Cheers rose as her legacy eclipsed the disgrace of those she replaced. Before leaving the Manhattan headquarters, Maya stopped at the lobby's digital directory, once a tribute to the old power players. With a swipe of her tablet, the screen blinked and refreshed. The hierarchy vanished, replaced by a new leadership team: janitors, clerks, analysts, people once invisible, now promoted into vital roles. "These are the people who actually kept Kanara alive," Maya said, her voice carrying through the stunned silence. "They're your new directors, chosen for what they've done, not what they wear." The press broadcasted the statement live. Hashtags like #HatchToMaya and #Empower surged across the internet as the names of old executives dissolved into digital ash. Somewhere, Lena's father, seeing his title erased, was last spotted furious in a bar, his legacy undone by Maya's hand. But her strength wasn't just in tearing down, it was in rebuilding. She had taken the unseen and raised them higher than the elite ever dreamed. Her justice left people breathless. As the boardroom emptied, Maya remained behind. Her white suit glowed in the dim light as she signed one final directive: the entire annual bonus fund, millions once reserved for the privileged few, was redirected to a foundation supporting underprivileged workers, the very people Kanara had once cast aside. The media quickly crowned her the Iron Lady in Linen, a name that spread like wildfire. But Maya refused all interviews. Her silence spoke louder than words. Her only public message came in the form of a company-wide memo. Never judge someone by how they look. Sometimes the plainest face in the room is holding the pen that can rewrite your entire world. The line became legend, a warning, a mission statement, and a promise that echoed in every survivor's memory. Kanara's elitist empire collapsed overnight. The dress code was abolished, replaced by a culture that valued contribution over clothing. Maya's foundation funded education, legal help, and job training for workers wronged by corporate abuse. The media hailed her as a force of nature, while the disgraced elite vanished, their resumes poisoned by scandal. Lena's high society fringe dropped her overnight, her linked in a digital wasteland. Her father, once the marketing director, found himself blacklisted across every major firm, his name reduced to a cautionary footnote in Maya's uprising. The analysts who secretly recorded Maya's lunch were swiftly dismissed. What they once considered viral fame had become legal evidence in a growing pile of lawsuits. Maya's victory wasn't just personal, it was structural. She dismantled the very system that had labeled her Rag Lady. And still, no one truly knew her story. She offered no explanations, no interviews. What little the records revealed was this: Wind Holdings, a mysterious shell company, had been quietly acquiring Kanara shares for years, its trail invisible until Maya made her move. Her status as co-founder stunned everyone. Her fortune remained a mystery. But her motives? Crystal clear in every step she took. She had endured humiliation, coffee spills, and a public firing not out of weakness, but because she was biding her time. Each insult became a building block in the empire she was crafting from the rubble. Her silence had been a weapon. Her unremarkable appearance, a mask. Her patience, the sharpest blade of all. The media speculated about a rough upbringing, perhaps years of struggle, but Maya's past no longer mattered. Her present was dominion. Her future, a throne. Disgraced executives attempted a counterattack, but Maya's evidence left no room for denial. Court cases unraveled as hours of surveillance footage and witness statements poured in. Lena's emotional video apology, streamed in full sobs, was ridiculed online, her faux remorse winning her no sympathy. Once powerful board members now scrambled for scraps, pleading for consulting work as their names disappeared from the industry. Meanwhile, Maya's foundation expanded, transforming lives, while Kinara's stock price soared under her sharp leadership. Her decisions closed deals that redefined Manhattan's skyline, and the world watched, enthralled, as the woman once dismissed as a nobody rewrote the future of corporate power. Maya's first board meeting as chairperson was a masterclass in dominance. Seated confidently at the table's head, her white suit glowing against the polished wood, she scanned the new board, hand-picked allies who prioritized skill over status. She laid out her vision: full transparency, fair advancement, and absolute zero tolerance for elitism. The invited media broadcast her message live. Hashtags like #VelvetTitan trended globally. Former executives watching from their now irrelevant lives saw their cruelty laid bare, the roots of their collapse exposed for all to see. Maya proved that true power never needed designer heels, it needed precision and purpose. Under her leadership, the Manhattan headquarters transformed. The once exclusive marble lobby now bore plaques honoring workers, not executives. The break room, where her lunch had been mocked, was renovated into a shared space with walls lined and photos of lives changed by the foundation. Maya's new office, the old CEO's suite, was stripped of excess. Minimalist and clean, its only ornament was the Red Seal dossier, a quiet reminder of how far she'd come. She often worked late, signing deals and policies with the same relentless focus that had toppled her enemies. The elites who used to laugh at her now flooded her inbox with desperate invitations and business pitches, all ignored. She didn't need to gloat. Her empire did the talking. The fallout was unending. Lena's father, stripped of his position and clout, was last seen selling his Hamptons estate to cover legal fees. The analysts who filmed her faced public backlash, their names dragged through headlines. HR, the department Lena once ruled like royalty, was completely overhauled. Its new head? A former factory worker elevated through Maya's foundation. Investigative reports on Kinara's past culture of abuse flooded the media, each crediting Maya's bold defiance. She never gave a single interview. Her silence guarded her like armor. Her actions did the cutting, severing decades of corruption with surgical accuracy. The world knew her name, but she remained out of reach, a ghost in plain view. Her foundation became a beacon of justice, funding lawsuits, college educations, and small business launches for underappreciated workers. Grateful recipients called her a hero in heartfelt letters, but Maya never replied. She was always focused on the next reform, the next victory. Under her direction, Kinara's profits doubled. Investors flocked to her side, drawn not by flash, but by solid results. The same elite who once ridiculed her sandwich now dissected her strategies in boardrooms. But Maya didn't care. Her success was measured not in headlines, but in the lives she lifted. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't threaten. She changed the game and buried her rivals with a quiet signature. The Iron Lady in linen wasn't a fable, she was a force of nature. On the anniversary of her dismissal, Maya returned to the Kinara lobby, the same floor where she'd once been humiliated. Reporters filled the space, expecting a grand speech. But Maya said nothing. She simply nodded once, her white suit catching the marble's glow, and walked away. In her hand was the Red Seal dossier, now irrelevant. Its secrets had served their purpose. She had done more than expose corruption. She had rewritten the rules for every undervalued worker who'd ever been overlooked. The so-called elite were gone, forgotten, powerless. Maya's legacy stood eternal, a reminder that even the plainest face can wield unstoppable strength. She never turned around. She didn't have to. The world already belonged to her. She never whimpered. She never begged. She let them dig their own graves and simply signed the order that covered them. If stories where the invisible girl rises to burn the whole empire down move you, like, share, comment with your favorite revenge moment. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales where justice wears linen and conquers kingdoms.